Hello, my name is Dawn Capes, and I'm the Coordinator of Appraisal Systems for Bay District Schools. Today, I would like to share the 2015-2016 modifications to the Teacher Appraisal System. Before getting started on those changes, I'd like to spend a few minutes discussing some background information that will help set the context for the changes that have been made. Back in 2010, at the beginning of Race to the Top, Senate Bill 736 required districts to have a multi-metric system. This means that districts were to include an additional measurement beyond the observation and student growth achievement. At that time, the Teacher Appraisal System Task Force knew that the Individual Professional Development Plan, the IPDIPI, was required as a part of Florida Statute 10-1298, and processes and procedures were already in existence for its implementation. So, the committee chose the IPDIPI as the additional metric as required in Senate Bill 736. But laws change. Florida Statute 10-1298 was modified so that the IPDIPI was not required. However, Senate Bill 736 still required the multi-metric system, so the Oversight Committee decided to maintain usage of the IPDIPI because there was nothing else to fill in that additional metric need. Then, another law change came along this year. House Bill 7069 stated that the multi-metric was not required. Further, this law also changed the percentages required in evaluations, stating that the student growth achievement could be no less than 33%, and the instructional practice also could be no less than 33%. Remember that previously the student growth had to be 50%. Now you might be thinking, let's just go with those two pieces. We don't need that multi-metric system. Let's just have the student growth achievement and the instructional practice and not have an IPDIPI and no deliberate practice either. Well, let's consider at least two possible ramifications. In one scenario, that would mean that those two pieces would have a 50-50 split. Considering the concerns with the FSA, leaving those results as 50% of the evaluation was not the best possible solution. Another scenario could be that a 33% student growth achievement and a 67% instructional practice split. However, that high percentile on the instructional practice had administrators and teachers on the Oversight Committee a little concerned. As you think about those ramifications, let me also share that during our district's last accreditation visit, the Advanced Ed Accreditation Team stated the district must increase systemic processes to include systemic work expectations and systemic monitoring of that work in order to systemically impact student achievement across the district, or we jeopardize our accreditation. Accreditation is important so that other schools, colleges, and employers recognize the course credits and diplomas earned by Bay District school students. Also important to note, we discovered last year that our work in PLCs was extremely valuable. The collaboration, conversations, and collegiality experienced was powerful. We have no such plans to let such important work stagnate or stop. Lastly, there has been a mindset change at DOE that make our modifications possible. At the outset of Race to the Top, DOE was clear that districts could phase in portions of the evaluation system. But by the end of Race to the Top, there must be full implementation of things such as all 22 components being used to rate a teacher's instructional practice. Recently, however, there has been a shifting mindset to acknowledge district feedback that all 22 components are too many and a focused effort must be undertaken. I share this information to help establish the why behind the changes I am about to share. The 2015-2016 Teacher Evaluation System meets the law as we currently understand it. However, I must tell you that DOE and the State Board are still creating rules, and there are still new interpretations of the law being released that will impact the 2015-2016 school year. When we know more, we'll make appropriate changes. It is important you all know that the changes we have made not only comply with the law, they also take into account teacher and administrator feedback and input into making the system as fair and meaningful as possible.